Let me know. MashaAllah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. كيف حالكم? How are you guys doing? MashaAllah. Before we start, inshallah, I'll show you guys the scene that I'm seeing right now. Currently in the Masjid of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As you can see, the Haswatain, this is the Haswa, is the courtyard, right? The Haswatain is being filled with people, mashallah, tabarakallah, right? So right now the time is 11 a.m. So it is a bit crowded, of course. And usually the place gets crowded, I would say around 10 a.m. and above. Okay. So when I arrived, it was at 10 a.m. Alhamdulillah, the roads were still open and the guards were not really that strict. But once I started walking, it was already 10-ish. They started shooing the people, telling people to leave. So you guys have to leave because crowd's coming. Yeah. So now it's 11 a.m. and the crowd is filled. The whole masjid is filled. And I even doubt if anyone can enter the masjid as of now. So this is just a pro tip before I get into everything. Right. For a pro tip, if you're coming to the Masjid al-Nabawi, especially on a Friday, you have to come early. طيب بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد. This is Khadr from Global Sadaqah. Alhamdulillah, I'm also a student in the Islamic University of Medina. And today we have a very important topic to talk about. I don't want to take too much of your time, and also I don't want to, disturb the people here, alhamdulillah, because it's a Friday, what's recite Quran and stuff like that. But alhamdulillah, we just want to show a bit of the scenes and Masjid al-Nabawi. طيب. So yes, guys, we are already almost a week into the month of Ramadan. So I hope to give you just a small, I would say, motivation or a booster, inshallah, for you guys to continue this month with billahi ta'ala. The number one mistake that we do when it comes to the month of Ramadan, right? Fasting, mashallah, everyone is good at fasting, right? It's pretty simple, I would say. We just leave our food from Fajr until Maghrib. A lot of people can do that unless you live in the UK and stuff like that. It gets a bit tough. But ala kulli hal, this is something that everyone can do. Okay, Taraweeh, mashallah, the masjid is almost always full. Okay, it's almost always full, especially the beginning, the end of Ramadan. Okay, the one thing that a lot of people don't do enough, and this is very, very important, is not reading enough Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. Out of all the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have mentioned when he tied it to Ramadan, the first thing he mentioned was شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the month of Ramadan and he tied it to the month in which the Quran was revealed. Subhanallah. Right? So there is a very, very important benefit. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He mentions something first, that means there is a very important benefit towards it. There's importance to it. Right? So of everything that we think when we think of Ramadan, the first thing that comes to mind is we think we have to fast. Right? We think of iftar. We think of Taraweeh, which is all good, amazing stuff, right? However, the month of Ramadan is the month of Quran. So don't forget this. The month of Ramadan is the month of Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tied it directly to Quran. So the number one mistake that people do in Ramadan is not even reading enough Quran. A very interesting fatwa in the Sheikh Salih Fawzan Allah is he was asked, is it better for us to recite the Quran? For example, once in the month of Ramadan, with understanding, we read, we read the Quran, and every ayah we read the tafsir, or every ayah read the translation if we don't understand. Or this is for someone who doesn't understand Arabic and etc. Or should we recite the Quran multiple times, once, twice, three times, four times, 5 times, 10 times, whatever it is? Subhanallah, right? Even we don't understand it fully. Okay? Sheikh Salih Fawzan, Hafizahullah, he recommended the second one, reciting only in the month of Ramadan, where there's a lot of benefit and khair when you recite the Quran in multitude. Why? Because in the recitation of the Quran itself, there's barakah. And wallahi, those people who know, they know, right? In the recitation of the Quran itself, there is barakah. Yeah? So if you don't understand Arabic, right? If you recite the Quran and you don't understand the majority of it, that is homework for outside of Ramadan, right? Outside of Ramadan, learn Arabic. There's a very important book that I will share right now. It's called the 80% of the Quran, something like that. So it's like 20 per there's the rule, the 20-80, right? 20% of the words in the Quran is repeated 80% of the time. And if you memorize or you understand 20% of the words, you will understand 80% of the Quran. The book is It's readily available. You can search it on Google. You can find it, inshallah. And then, wallahi, when I was starting my journey as a memorizing Quran and stuff like that, I found this book really beneficial, right? You'll find that this word, for example, the word day, yom, is repeated 300 X amount of times, 365. Ayyam is a bit more, right? The word month is repeated 12 times, مثلا, right? So you know these words, you memorize them. And once you come across these names or these words, you will immediately recognize them. So that is something outside of Ramadan. But in the month of Ramadan itself, I advise you to just pick up the Quran and read. Wallahi, don't give yourself this excuse that you don't have time. Sheikh Ibrahim, may Allah Tahir Nuh, you guys know him, Alhamdulillah, may Allah preserve him upon goodness. He advised the same thing. Don't let the shaitan whisper to you and say you don't have time. Wallahi, you have time. You have to find a time in which um, يعني, don't think, oh subhanallah, okay, now I have free time. However, I dedicated my time to read the Quran after Isha. La, don't do that. Anytime you are free, pick up the Quran and just read. Okay? Pick up the Quran and just read. Just read, even if it's half a page. Put a bookmark, right? Put something so that you know you can come. Just try to finish the Quran as much as possible. Like, so one of the benefits of reciting the Quran, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, whoever recites the Quran, for every single letter that he recites, he will get 10 rewards. And he said in the hadith, and I don't say alif, lam, mim is a letter. Rather, alif is a letter, lam is a letter, mim is a letter. So you say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Every single letter that I just recited, inshallah, I will get the ajr multiplied by every single letter. Subhanallah. So imagine the people who recite the Quran once, twice, three times, four times, five times in the month of Ramadan, how much reward. And of course, it multiplies because of the month itself. Okay? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored the people of Quran. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored beings and the month itself with the Quran. The month of Quran is being talked about in Ramadan itself, right? Why is it the best month? It's because the month it was revealed in it Al Quran. Jibreel alayhi salam, the messenger, the angel. He is the best of angels because he brought down revelation, and with it, he came with Al Quran. Right? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why is he the best of messengers? Because with it came Al Quran. So the people who memorize Quran, people who understand Quran, people who read the Quran, wallahi, you will be honored by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the angels in this life and in the next. As Quran will be intercessor for you in your grave. If you make, for example, you recite Surah Al-Mulk before you sleep, it will become a shafi'ah. It will become an intercession for you on the in your grave, and inshallah on the Yawm al-Qiyamah when those who recite Quran. Tayyib, inshallah, you're causing too much attention. Tayyib. So lastly, I would just like to wrap this thing up. With Global Sadaqah, we have a Friday focus, right? Every Friday, we try to send out emails, campaigns, lessons, or benefits, etc. And for this Friday, we are focusing on the Quran. Yeah, the first Friday of Ramadan, we are focusing on the Quran. So, for example, we have the campaign, the Mus'haf campaign that we have in Masjid al-Nabawi. Sorry, in the Masjid al-Haram, right? So for those who are seeing, you guys are seeing the Mus'hafs that are available on the shelves, right? So Masjid al-Nabawi, we don't do it, but in Masjid al-Haram in Mecca, we have the Mus'haf campaign. For those people who want to dedicate Mus'haf for people to read, right? This is something that you can do. Right. And afterwards, we have the Braille Quran, right? For those people who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has tested them with eyesight, right? They can't see properly. So they have to read the Quran with Braille. Wallahi, for those people who can read Arabic, right? You guys can read Quran very fast. As the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, الَّذِينَ يَقْرَأُ الْقُرْآنَ وَهُوَ مَاهِرٌ بِهِ مع كرام البررة. Yeah. Subhanallah, or كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Those who can read the Quran and be very fast, right? They're like with they're very skilled and they are with the كرام البررة, like the honorable angels, right? والذي يقرأ القرآن ويتعتع فيه, and he has difficulty in it, yeah? وعليه شاء فله أجر أو كما قال. And for those people who recite the Quran, they have difficulty in it, right? You will get two rewards. Anyway, point being is, if you have eyesight, alhamdulillah, you're seeing this video, and you can recite Quran proficiently. Wallahi, take advantage of this time. Recite Quran because there are people who don't have the eyesight, and they have to. I mean, Ya Rab, I mean, Ya Zahid. May Allah, he says, may Allah make us from the people of Ahlul Quran. I mean, And for those people who don't have eyesight, they are tested with this. They have to read the Quran by their fingers, the braille Quran. And wallahi, one of those Qurans, right, costs around 8,000 ringgits. Subhanallah. And the Mus'haf that we have today is practically free. Someone can give it to you as a gift. You can open it and can benefit from it. Okay. And lastly, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the month of Ramadan, he used to give charity uh, abundantly. He used to give more, and it was described like a very fast wind or a very something like a hurricane, right? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is he outside of Ramadan he would give charity without a doubt. He was known to be charitable, right? But in the month of Ramadan he would exceed in this charitable factor. He would give to almost anyone, subhanallah, without limits, subhanallah. So if you don't have the ability, maybe the dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you the ability to give charity like this. But anyway, for those people who have the ability to spend, wallahi, the people in Gaza in need, the people in Indonesia, the people in any place in the world, look at our campaigns. Alhamdulillah, we have campaigns for food, we have campaigns for wells, we have campaigns for healthcare, we have Braille Quran, we have single mothers who are in need of livelihood. There's so many. Just check out, inshallah, our website at Global Sadaqah. That's all I have for today. Jazakumullah khair. Guys, just a final hand of the scene that we have in the Masjid al-Nabawi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We're going to be starting our Jum'ah very soon. For those that are in Malaysia, don't forget us here as well for the last hour of Jum'ah. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he mentioned that there's an hour on Friday in which dua will not be rejected. The scholars have mentioned that it is the last hour between the last hour before Maghrib. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Okay, see you guys inshallah.